Howdy, folks. How's it going? Happy New Year. It's Thursday, January 3rd, and we are kicking off the new year here. I'm really excited for this. So glad to see you. Sorry that I wasn't here for the last week's Office Hours Live. It was the holidays, and I was doing other things, not working. So there we have it. Good to see everyone. I am just waiting for the live stream to kick in on YouTube here. Just want to make sure that everything's working before I start talking and all that stuff. So if you can see me and hear me, feel free to let me know in the chat so that I know that I am actually talking to somebody. So I'm just going to give this a quick moment here while I refresh my YouTube. Looks as though I am live. Yeah, looks like we're good. All right. Thanks, David, for letting me know that everyone can hear me. Cool. So, Office Hours Live, how this works is every Thursday, except for, with some exceptions, we at freelancingfreedom.com do an Office Hours Live where we answer your questions about business, freelancing, life, and entrepreneurship. Looks like we're getting a number of people chiming in here. Really excited to see everybody here. This is awesome. So I hope you guys had a nice Christmas break and holiday break, New Year's celebrations and whatnot. Would love to hear if anyone has something cool to share, any findings. Maybe because it's the new year, you have some resolutions you're resolving to do something different this year. I may have some suggestions on that. I may even share some of my own. I actually just wrote a blog post that will be scheduled to go out in the next week or so. My annual review, my 2018 annual review. I do those. I've been doing those every year now for 3 or 4 years, and I enjoy doing them. I enjoy reading them myself, and I enjoy sharing them. So you can look forward to that in the coming days, probably next week. And let's see. We're starting off a new year. A new year is great for a number of things. We all know, when you're kicking off a new year, it feels like a fresh start. It's a new calendar year. You kind of get this nice new start. It's like you get a whole bunch of new opportunities and chances and possibilities deposited into your life account, so to speak. And it's exciting. I really like the new year for that. Maybe some thoughts on kicking the new year off, specifically when it comes to life and business, your freelance business specifically, is to use that momentum that you're starting, in the new year, starting out the new year, use that momentum, use that inspiration to not only set lofty goals and say, you know what, this is the year I go full time, or this is the year I make, $50,000, or this is the year that I do that really big thing. That's great. I actually really love and encourage setting really large goals. But what's more important is if you create habit systems, because you are the result of your habits. And if you set a goal and you don't have the right habits in place to take daily consistent action, and you don't have that system in place, then you're most likely going to come up short. You're not going to be able to follow through. Maybe for the first quarter of the year, you'll feel good and you go, you know what, it's still kind of the new year and I'm going to crush that goal. I'm going to hustle and grind and whatever. And then you teeter off. Things happen. The year gets messy, as it always does. Your to-do list grows. Your attention gets pulled every which way possible. Your attention is divided. And then you find yourself in the third and fourth quarter of the year and you go, oh yeah, I forgot I had that goal to do that thing, or to be healthier, or to, chip away at that, or to save this money, or to pay that off, or to start that business. But you know what? New Year's is just around the corner. I'll make myself feel temporarily good again by setting a resolution. So I want to provide you with something that's a little bit more tactical. Alea says, that's where I was in quarter four. Something more realistic and strategic. I'm not saying set boring, realistic goals so that you won't have, because that's a problem, because you won't have any desire to achieve them. If you set realistic goals that anybody can tackle, that's no fun. It's just as bad as setting really big goals and having no plan. But what I think you should do is set a goal, an idea, a story, tie a story to it. Don't just say, I want to make this much money. In fact, if you're just making financial goals, it's kind of shallow. Financial goals should come as a result of you doing something that matters. So try and anchor what it is that you're doing around something more positive, something that serves somebody other than yourself. And this is kind of speaking out of experience too. And you'll actually realize, you'll find this out in my annual review, which is coming out tomorrow. Setting a goal that is bigger than yourself and bigger than just serving yourself. And then creating a system, a habit system, so you can schedule in your success, so that you can make a fail-proof, fail-resistant, fail-proof plan that can daily get you towards that goal, that can daily give you the progress you're looking for, versus just putting it out there and saying, this is what it's going to happen. Please, the universe, just make it happen for me. It doesn't really work that way. You are the result of your habits. So if your habits are bad habits and they don't serve you, they actually take away from you, then you're not making any room for new and improved, better habits, and you're not eliminating those habits. You're not going to, if you're doing the same things this year as you did last year, then you're going to get the same thing. So here we are, new year, new you. I want you to be successful this year, not just in business and finances. I actually want you to be successful and live a meaningful, purposeful life. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy. I want you to conquer things that you have not yet been able to conquer. And I want to be a part of that. So this is where, I don't know, maybe this is where I segue into answering questions. I do encourage you to ask questions in the type form. There is only a couple new questions in there. I'd love to see some more. And then we can wing it as well. I have a number of things that I could share. I come prepared. Let's see. Aaron, I'll drag you to be a part of that. You are late, bad habits. And Mary Jo, mindset needs to change. Okay. So there's a few things that I want to talk about, but maybe what I will start off with is answer some questions, because it is Office Hours Live. I will answer some questions, and as more questions come in, I will answer them. And I might share some, I'll share some progress as to where I am at in my business and what it is that I'm looking to do for you, and maybe give you some practical nuggets of advice and wisdom from my perspective. Okay, so let's do this. Pulling up the questions list here. Questions that we have today is, Lori says, I have no questions. I just want to listen this time. Cool. Although if you have any questions, please do pipe in. Next question. Mary Jo asks, how do you keep a client on schedule for a project? I've had a few clients either disappear or say they will get back to me. I understand clients have a business to run. How do you keep the project moving forward? This is a good question. It's something that inevitably happens all the time. with many projects. I haven't had many clients that haven't had some trouble with staying on schedule. So I believe there's a combination of things that can solve this problem to an extent. You might get lucky and get a client who's just on the ball. They know what they want. They know what they need. They're ready to give you what you need, and they're looking for results, and they're looking for them now. They're looking for them yesterday. So you might get that client every now and then, and that's great. But what do you do about the client who just can't stay on schedule, who's busy, who gets distracted? Well, allow for that contingency first of all. Don't have expectations of the client that you are almost certainly confident that they cannot uphold. You can have your picture perfect schedule in nice weekly formatted times, but you're going to be disappointed when they can't keep that up. So allow for the contingency. My rule of thumb is it's not actually my original idea. In fact, nobody has an original idea. It's always a combination of ideas that you've heard from other people and influences that you've had in your life. But anyway, this was directly a thought from somebody else. I think it might have even been an instructor of mine when I went to college. And this instructor once said, when scheduling and accounting for time and budget, take what it is that you believe it's going to take. So when scheduling, let's use that as an example. When you're scheduling a project, take what you believe it's going to take and then double it. So if you think it's going to take 1 month, tell them it's going to take 2 months. If you believe that a project, sorry, I have a child banging on the door. One moment. All right, I'm back. Let's see. Aaron, I love that we see this. Make that ×3 with a child. This is really freelancing. Totally is. Yep. They seem to know that I'm doing live streams and then just find their way in my studio. So boundaries, folks. Set boundaries. I also have a lot of stairs in this house, so I'm a little out of breath. What are you talking about? I'm not out of breath. I'm totally in great shape. Anyway, okay. Where was I? Okay. Sorry about that. Yes. So when you're talking about budget, was the other topic. Budget. If you're trying to budget something, the cost of something, the end result of what something might cost, you might want to take what it is you think it's going to be, double it. So allow for contingency is my point. My point is to allow for contingency within the time, scope, and budget of a project. Now, regarding keeping a client on schedule, you mentioned that you've had some clients either disappear. Those are problem clients. We don't want those clients. We don't want to attract those clients. We want to find out what types of clients, the types of clients who they are, the ones who disappear on us. We want to find out who they are, and we want to make sure that we don't attract those types of clients again. Understand what it is that the red flags are, set a minimum bar. Maybe it's a minimum budget. Maybe it's a minimum time commitment. Maybe it's a type of project. This is where understanding your positioning, your audience, your niching, and what it is that you offer is very important, because that's going to filter out a lot of bad clients. Sorry if that hurts anyone's feelings, but there are such things as bad clients, bad apples, bottom feeders, customers who are just not going to work for you. You want the customers who are going to be the ones who spread the message, who are going to spread the word, who are going to sing your praises, who are going to see the value that you offer and just melds water for the results that you can get them, for the value you offer them. Those are the clients you want. Those are the clients that will do their best for you so that you can help them. So those problem clients, we want to eliminate the possibility of those, the chances of those. And like I mentioned, there's a number of ways of doing that with minimum expectations, filling out a form, an initial project questionnaire, an in-person meeting, a required road mapping session is something, that's a term by Brennan Dunn of Double Your Freelancing. He calls it road mapping sessions. There's discovery phase, but you can charge for that and say, if you want to work with me, it's a minimum $250 fee to do a discovery session. I will give you an action plan and look into what it is you're looking for, give you an action plan and provide some next steps. One of those next steps will be to work with me, in which case that fee will go directly towards and come off as a credit on the budget of the project. Or if we realize that we're not a good fit, then you still get an action plan and you can take that to the agency or the professional of your choice. So that's another strategy there for eliminating the chances of those clients, giving them barriers, giving them hoops. The ones who say they'll get back to me, okay, so practical, tactical advice here. You have a client, they're a decent client. They've never really shown any red flags. Maybe they're a little annoying. They're hard to get a hold of, but they're busy. The best you can do is initially set expectations, have a schedule, make it very clear. You can even have a shared schedule with them if you want. You can use iCal, Google, whatever other calendar systems are out there to, if you're using a project management software, you can share the calendar with them, something that they can see what expectations that you have of them so they can do their best. Make it clear. Have that conversation. The hard conversation of, here's what I expect of you. Here's the schedule that I need you to stay on. Is that reasonable of me to expect that of you? And they go, yeah, you know what? That's a little bit too tight for me, to be totally honest. You go, all right, so here's what we're going to do. Let's adjust the schedule. Let's adjust the payment schedule and the delivery schedule. Does this look more reasonable to you? Okay. So find a good common ground for that so that you can establish some expectations and boundaries so that you and your client are on the same page. And how do you keep the project moving forward? Check in. So many people are so afraid to follow up. They'll say, I sent an estimate and they never got back to me. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe they think it's too much. Maybe they don't want to hire me. Maybe they secretly hate me and they don't want to respond to me and they hope I'll go away. That's nonsense and ridiculousness. Most people don't feel that way. The reality is that you just pick up your phone and you call them and you say, hey, Mark, how's it going? Brad here. Hope you had a great weekend. Just following up on our project. I want to make sure that we keep this on track because I want to make sure you get what it is that I promised you. And I cannot do that if we're not on schedule. So what do you say we do X, Y, and Z this week? Can I expect that? Is that a reasonable expectation? And he goes, you know what? We had a crazy week last week. And I did this thing and blah, 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 and totally threw me off guard. I really appreciate that you called me. I promise you I'll get this to you within the next 24 hours. And you follow up with them. If they don't get back to you, call them again. Be a pain in their ass. Okay. Some commentary here. Jennifer says, double it is a perfect piece of advice. I've done that in multiple side of the businesses. I kind of forget what that was in regards to, but thank you for the comment. Real life right there. Parenting. Yep. Let's see. Mary Jo, you're very welcome. That was a good question. I'm glad I was happy to answer it. Yannick, or is it Janik? I'm going to go with Yannick. I'm going exotic here. Is it Yannick? Am I right? Okay. I'm just going to go with that until you correct me. How do you drop a client the best way? Assuming you have a time-consuming client that's nice, but the project is not much for your interest and you want to end or pause the relationship in a good way. Well, I am of the mindset that you, first and foremost, should finish what you started. So if you got yourself into a pickle, get through the pickle. Eat the pickle. Whatever metaphor you want to use here. That said, I am aware that in some cases you just have to get rid of a client. You have to fire a client. They are toxic to you. They're poisonous to you. They're draining the life out of you. I think that in this sort of case, you need to reserve it for that. You cannot uphold your end of the bargain, your end of the agreement. This is why you should also have a contract. You need to have a termination clause in there so that you can terminate the contract for any reason whatsoever, so long as you provide written notification and action steps, yada, yada, yada. These are things, this is why you need a contract, so that you can say, I'm invoking clause number 8, blah, 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 blah. Here are my reasons why. I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. And is within your legal right to do that. It'd be nice to not have to do that because you don't want to burn any bridges or hurt any feelings, but it's your life and it's your business. So first and foremost, getting the right clients is the best. Preventative action is the best action here. So preventing getting bad clients or clients who are red flags. So if you have any yellow or red flags, you have those barriers or those high hoops, those hurdles you need them to jump over. If you have those in place, then you kind of already know that most of your clients are going to work for you. They're going to be decent clients. They're going to be able to do what it is. If you've defined what you can offer, if you've defined your scope, if you've defined your contract, your expectations and guidelines, and you have the hoops in place, and you make it in some cases hard to work with you if you are not a good fit. If you are a good fit, it should be very easy to work with you. So if you know who your audience is, who your customer is, and what problem that you're solving, and if that's what you're focused on, and if you have that as your laser focus, the person who fits that mold should be very easy for them to work with you because you already know that they're the right fit. The person who's not the right fit, there should be friction. It should be hard for them to get to work with you. They should have to go through these steps so that you could know there's some yellow flags here. Nope, this isn't the person for me. So when they get to the end result and they say, okay, now can we work together? I don't like that. I didn't want to answer your questionnaire. My budget is much lower than that. I want it tomorrow. You can go, sorry, Mark. Sorry if there's a Mark here. I'm just using your name. But, reviewing, the last, your submission and all this information, I realized that we're not the best fit. I have a few suggestions for you. If you want, you don't have to, for a direction you might want to go. But I could tell you that, I don't believe that we will be a good fit. So thank you for your time. And here's where I suggest you go next. Have a good day. Something like that. Let me see what else of that question can I answer. If the project's not much of your interest, then you kind of made your own bed. You should know what the project is before you sign it on. Because then if you're the one who halfway through the project loses interest because you just don't like it anymore, you are going to be that person who your client is going to complain to people like me or other people and say, I had a web developer just drop off the face of the planet, screwed me over, I can't get in contact with them, and they messed everything up. I don't know my hosting passwords. I don't know this information, and I can't get you everything that you need because the other person screwed me over. Because they just, didn't like the project anymore. That's not the right way to do business. The best thing is to be preventative and prevent the people who you don't want to work with from working with you. The projects you don't want to work with, don't work with those projects. If you do find yourself in a situation where you're not that pumped about the project, finish what you started. If after all of that you cannot, in any way, shape, or form, short of throwing yourself under a bus, sorry for the graphic idea, then you need to have your contract, make sure you have your contract in place first so that you can explain to them honestly how the project is just more or less tearing you apart. You can't do it, but you know exactly who's going to take it from where you left off. And I'm citing this from experience. This is something I did a couple of years ago with a large project that at first seemed really exciting. The client did present some yellow flags in the past. I failed to acknowledge those. I took on the project because of the budget and thought that I could handle the project. The project got hairy. That's okay. Kept pushing through. The project became unprofitable because time went on. Bad scheduling. The client had some personal and professional issues that was out of my hands and out of their hands for the most part, and caused some major issues with the project. Complete lack of communication. Everything went out the window, and we got ourselves into a really big pickle. It was really draining me. I did everything I possibly could until it got to the point where I actually had to invoke a clause in the contract that said I'm out. But I gave him one of my closest colleagues to take over the project. Couldn't handle it anymore. Tried everything, exhausted all resources and possibilities, and I had to find a way out. So, preventative measures, knowing what it is you can and cannot do, and do not want to do. Hurdles and boundaries, so that it's hard to work with you if they're not a good fit, or if the project is not a good fit, and easy to work with you if it is. Contracts, boundaries and expectations, maintain communication, finish what you started. If after all of that you find yourself in a position that you simply cannot complete what you started, find somebody else to do it for you, and find the best, most reasonable way out of the project. Does this help any of the people listening? I'm going to check my questions again here. Okay. Mike says, yikes. Helpful answer, thank you. Yannick? Am I getting that right? Is it Yannick? Mike says, makes a lot of sense. Cool. All right. Next question. Looks like there's a couple more questions. Oh, I like this. Great. David asks, you learned your trade, programming, photography, whatever. You have created a cool online portfolio with a blog linked with dozens of posts that show that you know your stuff. How and where do you start looking for clients? No race for the bottom sites like Upwork. Jake is fine. I'm going back and forth here. Jake is fine. I'll go with Jake. Okay. Sweet. Okay. David, that is a good question. Actually something I see here that you're not a student of freelancingfreedom.com. So I will first of all cite freelancingfreedom.com. In the masterclass, we talk about, and in Essentials and in the live webinars, we talk about building relationships as the number one way of growing your authority and your reputation, your referral network, and your influence, your circle of influence. And it's not the fast track way. It's not some magic Facebook ad trick or some race to the bottom on commoditized sites like Upwork. It's the barbecue method. It's low and slow. It's doing the hard stuff. And there's no secret silver bullet magic pill. But there are steps and actions and strategies that you can take, all of which are what I think are the most effective of which are outlined in Freelancing Freedom Masterclass, and also in the 2.0 version of the new product line that we are releasing this year for freelancingfreedom.com. So you mentioned in this hypothetical or even realistic scenario, okay, you got your skill, photography. You created a cool portfolio. I take pretty pictures. You got blogs talking about, how to take great photos, how to hire the best photographer, how to find the right price for a wedding photographer, whatever your blog's about. Valuable, interesting topics that educate and answer questions and add value. Now, where do you start looking for clients? First and foremost, any student of the Freelancing Freedom Masterclass might say, if they've been paying attention or remember, is you start with your immediate circle. Those are the people that you know, that trust you. I'm not just saying try and get your family to hire you. I'm saying that everybody has an immediate circle of connections. And it's larger than you think. It's not your mom and your cousin. It's a lot larger than that. It's your friends, friends of friends, colleagues, acquaintances, cohorts, people that you hang out with, the people who go to the dinner parties that you go to, the people who attend the events that you go to, people who you have familiarity with, people who you can have an easy conversation with that doesn't just immediately go straight to small talk. People who you have a trusted relationship with, your immediate connections. They can be as close as someone whom you truly love to someone who you care about, all the way to someone who is a familiar face. And those people are your immediate connections. And in those immediate connections, and this is actually something that I talk extensively in the new Freelancing Freedom lineup of products that are coming, I talk about the exponential power of word of mouth. So your first client, where does that first client come from? It comes from your immediate connections and your minimum viable solution. You need to, first of all, not just say, I'm a photographer, I wrote great blog posts, hire me, because I can find a photographer closer, cheaper, better, with a nicer camera and an easier to deal with personality. Whatever. I could go out and buy a nice camera right here off screen, or get my wife to take the photos because she's a photographer and it doesn't cost me any money. So why would I hire you? What are you solving? What problem are you solving? Where are you positioning yourself? Who's your minimum viable audience? And what do they struggle with? And how can you be the one that affects them positively and changes them so that you can elicit change in their life and add value that they didn't have before you? So understanding these deep questions, which we go into and which we will be going into more in, like I said, I keep mentioning these new products, these new courses that are coming. Your first client comes from your immediate connections, that immediate circle, and your MVS, minimum viable solution, that solves the problem in a simple way, something that you can turn over quickly and deliver quickly to a very specific type of person. So it's the people you've talked to, emailed, texted, had communication with, people in your Facebook friends list, your social media connections, friends, extended family, friends of friends. So, this is where your first client comes from. It's actually quite easy to get client number one. I could probably get you client number one right now. If you've attended any of my live webinars, you've seen firsthand people getting clients on my live webinars. I'm giving you exact tech strategies for getting client number one. Lori says, unfortunately, my connections are a lot fewer than other non-introverts. That only means, Lori, that your connections are probably more meaningful. Perhaps one might argue that extroverts have a frivolous amount of immediate connections. Being a connector is really nice. And that's someone who knows lots of people. But you, Lori, or any introverts, likely have some extroverted friends or a connector in the mix, someone who knows someone. And it's a lot easier to talk to someone whom you know or to be introduced in a nice, normal, organic, reasonable way in a comfortable, safe, social setting. So it's there. It's not impossible. Some people have different struggles and so-called crosses to bear. If communication and connection is a little bit harder, you're just going to have to work that much harder. Certain things are easier for you than for the extrovert, just as certain things for the extrovert are easier for them than it is for the introvert. But it's not because you are an introvert, you are lesser than. It just means that you are different than, which is not a bad thing. So that's client number one. And this is David's question. That's where you get your first client. Client number two comes from client number one. And client number three comes from client number two or one or mix. And the exponential power of your personal network, once you connect with one person and you get that client, you now have access to their network. You just have to ask for it. So your network, let's say in Lori's case, was small. If you get one person as a client or connection, you now have potential access to their network. Asking for, first of all, delivering value and helping that person in some way, even if it means you don't get paid for it. giving advice, helping, like what I'm doing right here. This doesn't cost you anything to watch. And if I can help you, I've added value, and you can go, that was helpful. And I might just ask something of you at some point, whether that means joining a course or taking a different step with me or reading something that I wrote that I think might be meaningful to your journey. It's easier for you to say yes to that if I've helped you first. So once you establish a connection with somebody and you add value, you can have access to their network by asking, is there someone that you know that could benefit from what it is that I was able to help you with? I'd be truly grateful for you to connect me with someone that you think I could help. Maybe you want to attach a referral bonus to that. You can have it in your automated messaging when you offboard a client. Connect me with 3 of your colleagues or someone who you think that might benefit from this, and I'll give you $100 for every paying client. And with every new client, you have access to a larger network. And that's where you start becoming a connector. That's where you start realizing that your network is growing exponentially. If I had each of my students in Freelancing Freedom, about 400 at this point, tell one person about Freelancing Freedom. Now, it's on me to make Freelancing Freedom so good and so valuable that they want to share it with someone. Not out of obligation, out of sheer desire because of how good it is. That's on me to create that and to find the people who are going to be affected that way. It's the same as it is for you to find those clients. If I had each one of those people, even 20 of them, who say, this is life-changing for me and I am on board, how can I help you? If each of those 20 people, let's go small, told 2 people, you can do the math. Those are an additional, 40 people who might sign up that I didn't have access to before, that I didn't pay in an advertisement to disrupt their flow, to interrupt them. It was a friend who said, check out Brad Hussey's Freelancing Freedom. You need this. I'm in it and it's amazing. They go, how do I get in? That power of word of mouth, that exponential power, is one of the most valuable engines that you can have in your business, in sharing and spreading your message. Alea says, I decided this year to stop aggressively and actively looking for clients this year and build my value, content, and community. The barbecue method. Awesome. Okay, let's see. I am going to check out another question here. Okay. Is there a financial milestone when we should stop being a sole proprietor and transition into an LLC or even an S Corp? Now I'm going to be up front and say that I'm not based out of the United States of America, so I am not as familiar and could not provide a totally consistent answer on when to transition to an LLC, limited liability corporation, or an S Corp. I am aware of what they are, but I am Canadian, and what in my case, I transitioned from a sole proprietor to a corporation, with me as the director and my wife and I as shareholders. So, I mean, it's the same sort of idea, labeled differently with certain structures, different to account for, the taxation of different countries and so on and so forth. So, first of all, I can't really, I can't provide you proper legal advice in this category. This is something I actually think I want to incorporate, whether that's by interviewing or incorporating the advice of some experts in the field, specifically in the United States and in Canada, in the course, in one of the courses, because it is a question that comes up. So addressing it in the very least, absolving myself of any, poor advice, because I'm not a lawyer or, an expert in that category, especially when it comes to United States taxation and everything like that. So with that said, I can talk from my own experience. I was a sole proprietor prior to 2014. In 2014, I incorporated at the strong advice of my accountant, which is good to have somebody on your side who knows your finances and how everything's working, because they can tell you, as my accountant did to me, you are paying way too much in tax. This is unreasonable, and you're going to drive all of your profits into the ground simply because your business is growing. You're punishing yourself for not incorporating. So in my case, my business is growing and doing well, but I was punishing myself by not incorporating. I was paying tax as if I had an ultra high salary as an employee. She said, you don't need to pay yourself everything that you earn. So why are you paying yourself everything you earn? That's all being reported as personal income, and you're paying growing and growing taxes on that. If that's what you'd like to do, sure. I don't advise that to be the case. So for me, incorporated a little bit too late. I probably could have saved quite a chunk of change initially by maybe incorporating a year earlier. So I don't know if it's a hard and fast rule. It really depends. I know some people who incorporate or establish an LLC or an S Corp, in this case, perhaps, right away. They go, I'm in business. I have a new startup. I have a new business idea. I'm just going to go straight to the forms and fill out the papers and get my papers to be an LLC or incorporate. You can do that. But it does cost money, typically. At least for me, it costs money. And in Canada, it costs money to incorporate quite a bit. I'm assuming relatively the same in the United States and elsewhere. There's some red tape and some legalese and documents to sign and money to be paid to lawyers and accountants and such. So I didn't do that, and you don't really need to. I don't think you need to do that as a freelancer initially when you start out your business, when you're consulting. You could just be sole proprietor. But if you're in a high risk industry, if you're worried that you're going to be taxed too high because your business, you can see it growing quickly, or you don't want to take on the risk, the liability. This is another reason why people incorporate, is to not have all their income that they make be reported as personal income. If you only need $2,000 a month and you're making $8,000 a month, it might be a good idea to incorporate. So you're not paying $8,000 a month in taxes versus the $2,000 a month in taxes, and paying a lower tax rate for your corporation, which in Canada is the case. But in the United States, I'm assuming there's tax benefits to incorporating or establishing a corporation. Otherwise, why not? Why would you do that? Which brings me to the second part, is liability. Another big reason why people incorporate is the liability. If they're working with clients that they're worried are going to sue you, and I know in the States, you guys tend to be lawsuit happy. At least that's the impression I get. You can just sue people for anything that you so desire. For whatever reason, I don't really get it. I believe there was a lawsuit. The federal government tried to sue Canadian federal government because the U.S. air was making its way into Canadian. I don't know. It's silly. Okay. Contents may be hot. Yeah. Plain, it's a hot potato. Okay. So I'm not going to touch on that. I love my American neighbors. I truly do. Some things I don't understand. Some things I do. So in this case, the reason why you might want to incorporate is liability. You don't want to be sued. Meaning, if you're making money and your business is just you, so all of your income is personal income, everything you own, your computer, your office, your rent, your devices, software, all those things you're paying for out of pocket personally, and therefore you're paying, that's personal money that you're being taxed on, and you're paying out of your own pocket to own these things. If you get sued for a lot of money, then the tax man and the government, the IRS or the CRA, They come for you personally and take what you have. And that's not okay. That's not nice. So if you incorporate, they just take what your business has, and they can take everything your business has, but your home, your car, your personal assets are still intact, and you can start again, unfortunately, but much more fortunately than losing everything personally. So those are some reasons why you might want to do that. Again, I am not a lawyer or an accountant or a financial advisor or anything of the like. I just am a Canadian business owner who happened to incorporate based on certain criteria and advice on the council of smart people that I associate with. So those are just some ideas. Again, if you're looking to incorporate or establish an LLC or an S Corp or anything in your specific country, if you're not in the USA or Canada, speak to a lawyer, speak to financial experts, maybe a lawyer friend, someone who might not charge you by the minute to get an answer. Those are just some things that you might want to consider. How was that, Aaron? It looks like you asked that question, I'm assuming. And anyone who might be curious about that sort of thing. Now, Aaron says, mainly I'm starting to charge more, so that helps. Yeah, so if you're starting to charge more, you're starting to make more money. You're starting to, maybe a good rule of thumb is if you're starting to make more in your business than you need personally, like if you start realizing, ooh, I'm making more money, like this is nice, like I can pay bills faster, or I can maybe buy, pay down the mortgage quicker. If you're starting to realize that you're paying yourself more than you need from your business income, then incorporating or establishing a corporation so that you can pay yourself what you need and keep the rest of it in your business, so you can have tax benefits and additional benefits that come with incorporating. So that's my answer on that. There aren't really any more questions in the type form. I would love to be seeing more questions each week, but it is what it is. C'est la vie. If anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them now. You have my attention right now for the next 5 to 7 minutes. So if you'd like some questions answered, I am here in the flesh to answer them. Otherwise, I will do my close-up speech. I don't really have a close-up speech. I can let you know a few things of what I've been working on, just to give you a little status update. A couple of pieces of advice, and then we can part. Mary Jo asks, how's the weather? The weather today is fairly fair. We had a bit of a winter snap the other week. It got quite cold, but we live in an interesting geographical location in southwestern Canada, west of the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, that produce what we call Chinook winds, also known in Finland, I believe, as the Foehn wind. I might be pronouncing that wrong, which is a warm wind which comes from the ocean. And as it comes across the mountain range, it heats and melts away the snow. So we can have winter 1 week and be very cold, and then spring temperatures the next week with some very aggressive winds, but you can go outside in your t-shirt. There's my answer to how's the weather. How's that? I'm going to let you know while I'm waiting for a couple more questions. Wicked. I like that answer. I felt like I was really prepared for that answer, for that question. Okay. I want to share a couple things. Oh, Nazreen, how do I convince people who always say Wix is cheaper, Weebly is cheaper than your service? You're swimming in the wrong pool. Those are not the clients who are going to sing your praises. Those are the bottom feeders. Those are the clients who, in my opinion, you don't want to have as your clients. They're going to be hard to convince. They're going to be hard to satisfy. They're going to be looking for budget prices. And they're not going to be people who you can truly sustain a business off of. Because here's the idea. Aaron says, I think I'm going to give Aaron the trophy for this answer. is those are the clients that were floaties in the pool. Yes, I believe that is the case. You could probably Google it. Think about it this way, Nazreen, and anyone who is curious about those types of clients. In order to sustain a business on a certain type of person, it's important to know what kind of clients you have. This is why positioning, understanding your minimum viable audience, the people who you want to affect and change and add value to, knowing who they are, not just letting people knock on your door and say, I need a website. How cheap can you make it? It's understanding who you want to serve and positioning yourself to affect a specific small group. The reason why is if you want to sustain yourself, let's say you want to make $50,000 a year, a very modest income for any North American or Western European country. I understand that maybe if you are in certain parts of Asia or, Africa or anything like that, which in some case, some of my audience happens to be from very cool parts of the world, that would be a lot of money. But it's not apples to apples comparison. Conversion rates, cost of living, so on and so forth. So think of it this way, $50,000 in a year. If you have your business is built upon the clients who want the Wicks and the Weebly and the Whipply Whipplies, and they wear the floaties. Those clients, if you want to build your business on those clients, let's say the average invoice for that client is, I don't know, $500. So if we do some simple math, that's 100 of those people. You need 100 really annoying clients in order to pay you a pretty modest income. That sucks. Okay? You can imagine how hard it is to convert one or two of those people. They're pretty skeptical of your high prices. They think they could do it themselves. And then you're going to have to convince 100 of those people every year. Oh my gosh. Don't. Now, if you can find yourself a better pool to swim in without the floaties, this is a metaphor that's going to work for me. Then if your average invoice is, let's say, 1,000, well, now you're looking at only 50 of those people. And those people who have that $1,000 budget, they're a little bit more reasonable. They're starting their business. They're a little bit nervous about money, but they know that they shouldn't be spending their time on Wix. They're convinced. You've educated them. Maybe you have a blog about why Wix is a terrible idea for your business. Maybe you could teach them how to build a great Wix website and say, look how much time that you've spent. I'm really good at this. And look how much time that you've spent wasting your time doing this when you should be crushing it and serving your customers in your business. Why are you trying to be a web designer when you're not? Okay, those $1,000 clients, twice the budget, new range, way easier to convert. They're already convinced that that's not for them, waste of time. They just don't really know. They don't really have a big budget, and they want a little bit more, but but they're primed, they're ready, easier to convince. That person, you only need 50 of those people. Let's change it now. This is again for a modest $50,000 a year income. Or 1,000, 50 of those people at $1,000. $1,000 is not a lot of money for a website. And we're talking websites here. This could be your consulting fee. This could be your graphic design fee. This can be your, whatever it is that you do for your service-based business. Because I'm starting to try and shift my advice to more than just web designers. Because I'm trying to be a little bit less focused on just web design stuff and building a consulting business that can grow and scale with the service that it is that you offer. So a small, lean, solo service-based business. You could be a web designer. You could be an HR consultant. You could be a graphic designer. You could be a coach, so on and so forth. So let's do one more example. Let's say you have $2,000 average invoices for your service-based clients. To get that $50,000 a year target, That's only 25 clients. This is getting a lot easier. 25 people, that's only a couple people a month. I'm getting that right. So you can see how swimming in the wrong pool is very important. You need to know who you want to serve versus just letting anyone come to your door. So that's important to know. David said he's right. Not only will they try to make you work for less money, but also add things, post work for free or peanuts. Yeah, you don't want to work for those people. You don't want to do that. Okay. You might want, maybe you can be at the forefront of educating those people as to why they should be looking above and beyond that and finding an expert. Or you can capitalize and cash in on teaching those people how to use Wix properly and create a course that teaches them how to do it. You get an introductory $100, $50 for that course, and then they go, wow, this person's really good at this. I'm just going to hire them to build my Wix site. And you go, I could build your Wix site for $500, but here's the problem with that. Here's your limitations. Here's this, here's that. Here's an alternative option for you. Be happy to do either for you. Let me know what works best for you. And they go, whoa, can I just go the custom solution or the WordPress solution or the whatever else solution? The more professional solution that's scalable and sustainable. I see that it's more money, but I understand it's more valuable because you've taught me that. Got it? George. Hey, man. Hey, George. Not asking a question. Just wanted to say that because of you, I started web dev and other stuff. Hope you're doing great and bring other great courses just as I know you will. Much love. Thank you, George. I really appreciate it. God bless you. P.S. Every person, says George, that asks me how I started, I just recommend your course from Udemy and said that you're the man. Again, very humbled. You're the man, George. Aaron says, this is turning on my computer. Like I'm turning your computer on? Like I'm physically turning on the button of your computer, or I am turning on. I don't know. This is weird. Aaron, stop being weird. Nazarene says, got your point. I should just nicely decline those clients. Wrong pool. Yes. Hashtag wrong pool. Hashtag floaties. That's right. Nope. Lots of work. This is why one of your, Alea says, onboarding questions should be about budget. Even millionaires have budgets. Yes, they do. Millionaires didn't become millionaires by spending all their money. They had expectations, boundaries, and limitations. They just now have more buying power and larger budgets, but budgets nonetheless. This is fun. Let me see if there's any more questions. And then I'll wrap this up with one final thing. So I am neck deep. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad way of doing it. I am full steam ahead with a deeper focus. And pause that. A couple comments there. Sorry. I like to be consistent and not jump all over the place, but a couple things came in there. Sean says, apologize, but this is completely unrelated. I'd like to know where you got that Design Matters shirt you wear in some of your promo images. That is a merch shirt I got from a conference this year at Craft and Commerce, or last year at Craft and Commerce, rather, from Flywheel, the hosting company. They gave me a free shirt because they like me and they want me to suggest them. But I keep playing hard to get, and I keep saying, yeah, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But if you keep sending me free shirts and giving me free stuff, then maybe I'll consider it. Maybe I won't. Hashtag game. Digital game. That's where I got it, Sean. Sorry if that made you feel weird. Feeling good, guys. Okay. Let me finish, okay? Let me finish. A couple minutes here, and I'm going to wrap up because I like to finish my day at 5 because I'm allowed to do that. Usually I'd like to start, finish earlier if I want to, but I want to finish today at 5. Okay. Losing my train of thought because this is getting too fun. Aaron says, I want a Hussey shirt. That's cool. Come up with some really cool shirt ideas for Freelancing Freedom. And, that would be cool. Maybe I'll give you a free one. I've been really trying to figure out cool shirts for Freelancing Freedom that people would actually want to wear so that when you join the course, you get a shirt, or you could buy a shirt and sport your membership to a movement. I want to create that. So help me out, folks. Okay. Freelancing freedom, to wrap this up, joking aside, I love joking, is going through a big, exciting transformation. This year is going to be exciting. I am very excited for it. I've already been working on for the past few weeks on brand new Freelancing Freedom. Currently, there's Freelancing Freedom Essentials and Freelancing Freedom Masterclass. Those courses, as lovely and as amazing and as life-changing as they have been for me, and ideally, and I think other people, they are going to be changing in a big way. In fact, I don't even think that those two courses eventually, soon, are even going to be offered as courses. Don't worry. If you are a part of those courses, you will always get to keep those courses so long as they are on the internet. They are yours if you bought them. But Freelancing Freedom is going through a new change. And I've identified a number of huge gaping holes within what I'm offering. Things that I want to be able to offer, but I have not been able to offer given the constraints of my courses being positioned as how to get clients as a web designer. I have much more to offer than that. I'm much more passionate than about the full breadth of starting a business and what that entails at each stage than just saying, here are a few tips and tricks to get clients. I don't really care about that. That's just one small piece of the puzzle. It is important, but it's just one thing. And there's a lot more that I have to offer. And Freelancing Freedom means a lot more than just getting web design clients. Now, don't fret. You will still learn how to get web design clients, but you will learn much more than that. We're going to be creating more than one course. I've been trying to keep it as one course, but it's just too big for one course. And it is finding its way into, I believe, 3 to 4 courses. The first course is working title, Launch Your Freelance Business. Stage 1 is Launch Your Service-Based Business. Stage 2 is, if my memory serves me correctly, is Systemize Your Service-Based Business. Stage 3 is Productize Your Service-Based Business. And stage 4 is Elevate Your Business. Each stage serve a very specific type of person. And I'm going to be exclusive with who it serves. It serves anyone and everyone. I actually want to be very specific. So some of you might find yourself going, that course is not for me. Wow. It's really not for me. But some of you will go, wow, that course just sings my name and I have to have it. Now, for anyone who's a part of Freelancing Freedom, of course, we are going to find the best, most fair way for you to get your hands on this. We haven't figured out any strategies or pricing or marketing or promotions or any of that. That's not even in my mind right now. I am in full-on creation and writing mode, and I'm dedicating my days to creating this very exciting new change for Freelancing Freedom. And I'm excited to share the journey with you. I have been sharing the journey with my Freelancing Freedom students for the past couple of months, and I continue to do that. Billy says, I missed the start of this. Will the existing Freelancing Freedom members get access to this new material? Question I don't know how to answer quite yet. Those are the logistics of what that looks like. I have not yet determined because it's not going to be a one-to-one totally new course. That just replaces the same thing. It's not just a better version of the same thing. It's a totally new thing. And of course, my loyalty, your loyalty will be rewarded, whether that means you get to choose one of the, and again, don't quote me on this because we have to figure the logistics out. There's probably going to be 3 to 4 brand new courses. So far, they're quite significant. At least the very first one, which is the Launch Your Freelance Business, it covers some serious stuff. And it's the best of the best that I have to offer. And that's only one category, launch. that alone kind of replaces 80% of what the current Freelancing Freedom Masterclass is and all of what Essentials is. So that may mean you can choose one of the courses as a free, you get a free one-to-one transfer, or there's a discount or some sort of, again, I can't answer that question because I don't know what the course totally looks like yet as an end result. As we get closer to that, more details will be shared. But as I mentioned, if you're a current Freelancing Freedom student, we are very fair and loving business. And I want to try and find the best way to reward you for your loyalty while also trying to maintain a business. So hopefully that answers your question. John is trying to bump Olatomide's question. How do you manage burnout at periods as a freelancer? I will answer that question and then I'll wrap. That's a number of things. It's a pretty heavy question, actually. Burnout can happen from a number of things. From my experience and from witnessing others, burnout can happen from you pushing yourself, you not establishing boundaries, you not having the right expectations of your clients, you being a free-for-all consultant, does anything and everything. You're subscribing to the hustle and grind. You don't have those boundaries, like I said. You don't define a clear time when you will be working and when you will not be working, what you will and you will not do. Some basic fundamental concepts here can help prevent burnout. You shouldn't have to burn out. Burning out means you've run your engine too hot. If you're running your engine too hot, then you're damaging your engine. And at some point, the engine's going to break and fail and not work anymore. However you want to apply that to metaphorical life, it means you're doing the wrong thing. You shouldn't have to burn out. Sometimes, yeah, you got to push yourself and you feel tired. That's fair. Fatigue is normal. Burnout is unhealthy. So you need to establish fundamentals like boundaries, expectations, scope, define what you will and will not do, when you will and will not do it. Those things will help eliminate or minimize the chances of burnout. Doing things that serve your soul. So if you're working on projects that you hate, you're doing it for money and that's your goal, and you're just doing it because it's a client, and so you just got to say yes, and you've been taught that and you believe that, you subscribe to that, you're going to burn yourself out. It's not going to work for you. You're going to hate it, and you're going to want to do something subpar and go back to an old version of your life and take a step down from trying to achieve something bigger and greater because you burnt yourself out. You worked on the wrong projects with the wrong people. You didn't establish boundaries and guidelines. Take care of yourself. Take care of your body. Take care of your mind, your spirit, your soul. Take care of what serves you. Make sure that your guiding principles are at the core of everything that you do. So you're not just a pawn. So you're not just a commodity. I know these are kind of deep answers, but it's a deep question. And I would feel wrong if I just said some crappy strategy that you could just Google. I think it's much deeper than that. Does this help? Okay, another question here. David, as Freelancing Freedom is going to turn into potentially 4 courses, if we get the first course, can we immediately after we finish it get other ones, or do we have to wait for a 2 times a year opening? Again, you're asking questions that I don't necessarily have the answer to right now. As it stands, but let me try this again. Freelancing Freedom currently is on a 2 times a year open cart, closed cart schedule, live launch schedule. And that's the way we've been doing it for a few years, and it's working well. It's worked well, but we're shifting some stuff. So whether the courses will always be available to purchase through some strategy, like watching a webinar and then buying after the webinar, or just being available a la carte, or being some of them, or a couple of them, or one of them, or a bundle of them being offered multiple times a year on a live launch schedule that rewards people buying it all at once as a full kit, a full package versus a one-off. My thoughts are, if you buy a one-off course, it would be more economical to buy them all together versus just buying one. But if you only need one, you're maybe saving money instead of buying everything. So again, these are things that I will be, where appropriate, sharing kind of behind the scenes of my thoughts. Right now, I've been sharing behind the scenes on the creation process without giving away too much, so that I don't want to cannibalize the product and say, here's the product and you could just see everything that I've done. Why would you even buy it when you could basically just see it? So there's an element of secrecy that needs to be there, protecting the product and what I'm creating, protecting that creation. But I'm also being transparent with the process. So I'm sharing the process rather than the content. So right now, that's kind of what's being shared. Soon after that, the next step will be sharing a next step in the creation, the product journey. So establishing a price, establishing a launch schedule. Is it evergreen? Is it live? What is the price? What's the positioning? Who do I want to buy this? Who do I want to affect? Is it a specific type of person? Yes. So these are the things I'm working through, and I don't fully have the answers for yet. But for the sake of transparency and letting you in behind the scenes a little bit where appropriate, it's something that I've been sharing. Specifically with the Freelancing Freedom students. If you're outside of Freelancing Freedom, you don't get as much of the behind the scenes. Hi, Brad. Vinicius. Do you intend to launch a full Bootstrap 4 course? You only have the Quick Start 1 on Udemy. Not sure. My focus this year, I am focusing deepliest. I don't know the word. I'm focusing more specifically on what I think I'm meant to do, which is freelancing freedom and what the potential of what that has to be. That said, I really love coding, teaching things about that, and there very well could be something in that realm if I want to play in that category for a bit, but I also don't want to divide my focus, because I would like to go all in on something versus half in on some, two things. What's Ron Swanson says, don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. I'm trying to whole-ass one thing, while being mindful that I actually have a lot of people who love my coding stuff and have been introduced to me via my coding stuff. So, and I want to be able to help those people too. So, trying to figure that all out. Okay. That, my friends, is a wrap. Thank you for attending Office Hours Live this Thursday. Next week, we'll be doing Office Hours Live again at 4 p.m. Eastern. We might change the time if enough people want us to change the time. I like this time because it's the end of the day and I can wrap at the end of it. But if we need to change it because more people will come, cool. But you got to let me know. Thank you again for coming. Submit your questions. Don't be shy. Ask your questions in the type form. It's in the description of the video. We send out emails every week, and it's on the Facebook and on the Slack and all the things. If you're in Freelancing Freedom, I want your questions. I want to answer your questions. There's no hard questions. There's no bad questions. So shoot them at me. Give me those questions, and I will see you next Thursday on Office Hours Live, right here at this exact same spot. As usual, this replay will be available on my YouTube channel for the public to see, so that they can see how awesome Freelancing Freedom is and what a great place it is to be. Also, it is included in your Freelancing Freedom account, so that you can access it within there should you find yourself there. 4 p.m. Eastern time, says Alea. Maybe that's a good time. We'll see. Awesome as always. Thank you, everyone. God bless. Have a great weekend, and focus on one thing. Whole-ass one thing. Don't half-ass two things. Okay? That's Ron Swanson. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.